In this video, I'm going to take apart the gearbox and replace the plastic gears inside the gearbox with some brass gears. Also this metal differential that I have here. And now you don't have to do this if you just casually drive yours around, but if you beat yours up all the time and drive it a lot, or plan on doing a brushless motor swap, I would suggest putting in these metal gears, since the plastic ones will wear down quickly over time. So this is not a bad idea to upgrade if you're going to put more power, like a new motor, or if you're just going to drive, you know, the heck out of this thing. Otherwise, you don't really need metal gears if you're just, you know, if you just drive it every once in a while. It's not a big deal. So I already took the dog bones out and the screws that mount it to the body, or you know, to the frame and everything, just to speed this up a little bit. So these 3 screws are for the mounting to the frame. There's 2 screws there and then 1 screw there, and then of course the dog bones are in there, so you just pop off the swing arms and then take the dog bones out of the way, take the screws out, and then you can also disconnect the motor right here from the main board. And then you just lift the back end up a little bit and then just kind of work it out. And it comes right out like that. And then there's 4 screws that hold this whole gearbox together. So I already took these 3 out just to speed up the video a little bit. And that's these 3 screws right here. So let me just get these out of the way. And we're gonna replace this little plastic diff that's in here with this solid one that I locked. So we'll be replacing that. And then also the little brass gears that are inside right here, I'll replace those as well. So there's one last screw to undo here. Just get this out of here. Okay, so you just gotta peel this guy apart. I would lift it with the motor up and pull it out because all the gears are on this side of the gearbox. So instead of doing it the other way, because they might fall out if you do it upside down. But yeah, so this is your brush motor. It's got a tiny little metal gear pinion already on the motor shaft, so that's good that that's metal and not plastic. So when I swap these out to metal, everything in here will be metal, which is what I want. So here's the gearbox and everything inside. I'll take this out of the way first. So of course this is a little plastic differential, which is locked because it's just one solid piece of plastic, and that spring in there just helps push the dog bones out to make sure they're making contact all the way to the wheels. So hopefully this metal one will be a good replacement for this. I don't think I'll need that spring for any reason, so we'll see how it goes once I put the dog bones in, if I need to add like a little spring or something in here to help the dog bones stay in place. But you know, I'll find out after I put it back together. And then there's the bigger of the 2 gears goes here, and then the smaller one goes right there. So now that I have those out, get this out of the bag real quick. So I'll put the smaller one in first, and really I should grease up this area and everything myself. On top of, you know, what grease is already inside there, but I'll probably do that off camera after I just kind of, you know, demonstrate how you put this together real quick. I mean, this is very simple to do. Like this is not a tough mod. Just all you gotta do is drop those in, you know, then grease these up, and then put this back together with the motor in there. And that's really all there is to it. Just pop all 4 screws back in, and then the gearbox is good to go. And the motor should be good to go and everything. I am planning on doing a brushless mod later on down the road, so I'll just, you know, beat this brush one up as much as I can and wear it down, and then eventually I will switch over to a brushless motor and, you know, just give this thing some more power. So yep, that's all you have to do for that. And then the dog bones go in here. Seems like they seat in there pretty well, so I guess I'll find out once I put it all back together how well it is, but it seems all right. And you might have to break this in a little bit, you know, by driving it around and just get these gears free moving and stuff. But like I said, you got to add some grease and stuff in there too to kind of help the metal gears, you know, work smooth and stuff together. So that's all you have to do to put the gears inside the gearbox, and then just put the screws back in. And I'm not going to put it all back together because I actually want to take this motor off and I want to weigh it so I can see how much it weighs. So when I put the counterweight on the other side, I want to get, you know, as close as I can to matching the weight of this motor on the other side. Right now I'm just guessing. So I'm not really going to put this thing fully back together because I want to do that off camera. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to just take it apart and then just slide it on in there. You know, make sure you put all the screws back in their places. So, you know, one screw goes here, screw goes there, and then a screw goes right there. And that's it. That's all that holds down this gearbox in place is just 3 screws. And after you do that, put the dog bones in, line them up, and then snap the swing arms back into place. Seems good. Hey guys, it's future me again. Like I mentioned at the end of the last video, I had to make some changes since I couldn't do exactly what I wanted with this differential. I couldn't use the socket head screw with the little nut on it. It was actually too big on both sides and it was interfering with the dog bones to where there was too much pressure. And it was making the wheels bounce up and down when I rotated it because it was too much binding going on in here. So I couldn't use that. And at first I tried to use the screw that it came with and use the Loctite, which it works. So if you're gonna do it and this is the only option you have, then you can use this little screw that it came with and it'll work. The only issue I had with it is it was, the screw was like about 1 millimeter too long on this side. Like the very end of it was just about 1 millimeter too long. It was sticking out and it was actually, we'll focus. I had to grind off a little bit there because it was interfering with the dog bone. So I grinded off about almost 1 millimeter off the bottom of the screw. Once I had already tightened it inside the differential, I just got the dog bone out of the way. I just took this and then just grinded away with my Dremel, the little bit that was sticking out. And then there was a little bit of extra play on this side because I guess the way they designed this gearbox is not perfect. So the differential seems like it might be about 1 millimeter or so to the right or this direction. So it's not perfectly center in there, which is kind of annoying, but you know, that's some of the things you're gonna have to deal with when it comes to these cheap little RC cars, is that not everything is gonna be perfect. So it seems like the differential is shifted slightly to the right or to the motor side, just about 1 millimeter. So there's more room on this side of the dog bone than there was on this side. So what was happening is that this side was moving freely with no issues, while this side was binding, and every time I rotated it would bounce up and down like that. And to fix that, like I said, I had to grind away the tip of the screw because it was slightly sticking out inside the differential, and then I actually relieved the pressure to where it could rotate and it was fine. The only problem is that I had too much sloppy movement on this side compared to this side, so I was getting a little bit more vibration and a little bit too much movement with the dog bone over here. So what I ended up having to do was take out the screw that came with it, and I had to put in a screw like this with just a little bit bigger head on it, which the head of the screw is on that side of the car, while the end of the threading is on this side of the car. And I didn't have to actually grind away the end of the screw on this one because it wasn't interfering on this side. And this little bit of head on the screw was just enough for this side to push the dog bone out a little bit further and get it a little bit closer, because it's got a little bit of movement, but it had more than that without that screw in there, and it was actually causing a little bit of vibration and stuff. So you want a little bit of wiggle room in there. You don't want too much. So that's just pretty much where I want it. It's hard to get it perfect because I actually tried to use one of these socket heads by itself without the nut, and the socket head was actually too big, and it was causing binding on this side to where it would bounce up and down a little bit on this side when I rotated it. So that kind of screw was too much. So this screw was like the perfect in between to give me enough you know, material in here to kind of push that dog bone just out a little bit on this side. And I didn't need to grind away anymore on that side to get this side to reach better. So now it's pretty much where I want it. It's probably as good as it's gonna get. I mean, don't expect like these to be perfect because these cars are cheap, you know, they're not like expensive grade stuff. So, I mean, for what it is, this is actually pretty good. So I'm happy with where it is now. Yeah, so that looks pretty good. I used blue Loctite on the screw to keep it, you know, nice and tight in there. And I also took like the end of my needle nose in this and that and really kind of tightened both sides of those little cups real tight to make sure that it doesn't really come loose. So hopefully I won't have to go back in there and use that red Loctite that they gave me. I'd rather just use the blue Loctite that I have because I'm not really sure if that red Loctite is going to be too strong or not. So I don't really want to bother with that. But if you have no other option, then use that red Loctite that they gave you. And it might be fine. So, you know, don't worry about it. Just use what you have. So other than that, the other issue that I was kind of running into was the, let's see, was there was a little bit of pressure inside the cup there. So around here where the head, where the ball of this dog bone was just slightly a little bit tight in there. So what I had to do was use my Dremel or rotary tool, whatever you want to call it, and I had to grind away a little bit of the material in this area to help relieve just a little bit of the pressure that was on the ball here, so the joint can move freely up and down inside there without getting like caught or bind or anything like that. So it helps you know, relieve some of that pressure, which you might have the same issue, you might not. I don't know if it's just, you know, the one I got had that issue, or you know, if they're all like that or not. So you'll just kind of have to find out once you put yours together if you need to do that or not. Hopefully you don't have to worry about it, but I just did that just in case. I just grinded just a little bit of material away around the edges in there, so the dog bone can move up and down freely without getting like snagged or you know, bind up on anything. So it seems good now. So that's pretty much the most work I had to do to get the differential working correctly. The gears that are in here are working fine. So those two little brass gears that you put inside the gearbox, they're fine. You don't need to mess with those. I just put grease on them and they're good to go. The differential is the only thing that gave me a little bit of a hassle, but overall, like now that I'm done with it, I'm happy that I did. So everything in here is nice, you know, and durable, hopefully. So then when I switch out to a brushless motor, those gears should last hopefully a long time, you know, longer than the plastic screws would have, or plastic gears would have. So that's how that went. I just wanted to give you an update because I wasn't sure how it was going to go until after I put it all in and tried it out. I did weigh the motor, and the motor is 22 grams. So I took away one of the 3 weights that I had over here because they're about 14 grams a piece, so that was too much. So I left 2 for now. So this is about 28 grams. I'm about 6 grams heavier on this side. So, I mean, that's really not that big of a deal. I can, you know, 6 grams is not a big difference, you know, between both sides, but maybe I'll take one away and add some smaller weights to kind of get it, you know, almost perfect. Or I'll add 6 grams to this side. I don't know. We'll see if I'll even need to. But just wanted to give you a heads up that the motor is 22 grams if you guys were curious. And that's pretty much all there is to tell you that I, you know, all the problems that I ran into. So other than that, that's about it. If you guys have any other questions or comments, just let me know down below, and I hope to see you guys in the next one.